Hello, everybody. Welcome back to paper 2, where we'll be looking at the DBE 2023 paper and what we're going to cover. So we're going to look at questions 1 and 2, which involves all sorts of statistics, so linear regression, histograms, archives, bivariate data, and univariate data. So you can go and find this exam paper. It's the DBE November 2023 paper 2 exam and follow along with us. Otherwise, the questions are written in the videos. And so if you're okay and comfortable with that, then definitely jump on board. I do recommend trying the questions by yourself before looking at the solution, as this often helps you figure out exactly how you're doing and whether or not you're on the right track. And remember, mistakes help us learn. So when we make a mistake and then we see how to correct it, then we have learned from our mistake. And so when we do it again in the exam, we know exactly what we did wrong and then how to fix it as well. Okay, so question 1 says, truck drivers travel a certain distance and have a rest before traveling further. A driver kept a record of the distance he traveled in kilometers on 8 trips and the amount of time he rested in minutes before he continued his journey. And then the information is given below in the table. So we have 180, he traveled 180 kilometers, and then he rested for 20 minutes. He traveled 200 kilometers, he rested for 25. He traveled 400 kilometers, and then he rested for 55 minutes, and so on. Okay, so this is a bivariate data. It's a linear regression sort of question because there's a relationship between the two variables, x and y. It's no singular variable. There are 2 different variables, and one variable, the x variable, or how far he travels, affects the y value, how long he rests for. Okay, so it says, determine the equation of the least squares regression line for the data. Now, this is really great to just do straight on your calculator, and so that's what we're going to do today. So how do we do it? We go to stat. I just actually want to share my entire screen with you so you can see the question. All right, so we're going to go to stat mode and we're going to press 1 for stat. And because it's linear regression, we know it's a straight line. So that's a plus bx. That's what we're looking for, right? So we're going to choose 1. Now here you've got x and y, and we're just going to type in the data. So my x is 180, and then I like to do it in pairs, simply because then I know that I've matched the correct relationship coordinate with each other, and I'm not making a mistake somewhere and messing up all my data. So 20, and then press equals, and you'll see it will just fill it in on the table for you. So 225 equals 455 equals 600 and 120 equals, I'm sure we can move it over one more, 170 and 15 equals, and there were 8 things, hey? So let's just do this, 350 and 50 equals, and then the last 2, here we go, so 270 and 40 equals, and 345 minute rest. Okay, so there's our 8 different data points, and we can use our up and down arrow keys to scroll and make sure that we've actually completed the table correctly, because as soon as you fill in one thing that's wrong on your information, it's going to be wrong in your solution, and that affects the entire question 1, because there are follow-on questions for this. So it's very important to make sure that the data in our table is actually correctly completed. Okay. Once we're done with that, we can either press on or change. Both do the same thing. Now, to find our linear regression line, we're just going to say alpha and 8 for stat, and then just 1 for regression value. And here you can see it's negative 23,846, and our b value is 0,227. Okay, so we're going to round it off, and we will just simply say y is equal to negative 23,85 plus 0,227. 2, 3. Remember, we rounded off to 2 decimal places, x. And so there's your first answer. Okay, so really straightforward. 3 marks means at least 3 minutes that we can spend on this question. And so we are all done. All right, the next question says to us, if a truck driver traveled 550 kilometers, predict the amount of time in minutes that he should rest before continuing his journey. So there are 2 ways to answer this question. The first way is to just substitute into the formula. So we are given 550 kilometers. In other words, we're given the x and we're looking for the y. So we just say negative 23,85 plus 0,22 times 550. And if we just plug that straight into our normal part of our calculator, we get an answer of 102,65, right? The alternative is actually to do it on our calculator. And so to do it on our calculator, in our stats mode, we would type in 550 and we're looking for the y value. We have x, we're looking for y. And so we're looking for this y hat over here. So we say second function y hat, and you'll see it gives us 101,02. Now, the reason that the answers are different is simply because the calculator rounds off to 9 decimal places where we've rounded off to 2. And so, especially with a bigger number like 550, it will affect the accuracy of your answer. However, the mark sheet gives 2 marks for this answer, and it gives 2 marks for the 102 answer. So either answer is correct. So don't panic if you see something slightly different when you check on your calculator. It is that both of those answers or solutions will be accepted. Okay. It says write down the correlation coefficient for the data. And so that is found again in our linear regression. So all we're going to say is alpha 8 and 1 for regression values. And you can see R is 0,9828, blah, blah, blah. So we would just round it off as 0,98. Now the next question says, interpret your answer to question 1.3. And so what they're asking you is what kind of relationship do the variables have? And we can see when R is close to 1 that it is a strong positive correlation. Okay, and it's in fact a very strong positive correlation because there's very little that's left out of that correlation. If it was 1, it would be a perfect correlation. In other words, only X predicts the value of Y and nothing else. Okay, so here we simply say that it is a very strong positive correlation. If your R was smaller, so for example 0,5, then we could say it is a positive correlation. If it was 0,3, we would say it's a weak positive correlation. And then, of course, if you look at it from a negative perspective, in other words, if the graph is going down instead of up, then it would be a negative correlation. And then you would use those same values again to decide whether it was very strong, strong, or not so strong. Okay, now at each stop, the truck driver spent some money buying food and other refreshments. These are the amounts spent in rands, and they are given in this one column table over here, one row table. So now this is just a basic stats, normal univariate setup for this, okay? And so again, we're going to use our calculator, but not in univariate data. So we need to change the setup. So we're going to say mode, and we're going to choose 1 for stat. And this time we're going to say 0 for single dots. And let me just share my entire screen with you so that you can see the values. Okay, so our first 3 values are 100 equals, 150 equals, and 130 equals. And then we've got 200 equals, whoopsie, see what I mean by making mistakes. 130 equals, 200 equals, 50 equals, and the other 3 are 180 equals, 200 equals, and 130 90. Okay, so we've got 8 values, which is correct. Let's just go back and make sure that they're all correct. So we've got 100, 150, 130, 250, 180, 200, and 190. Okay, so they're all fine and perfect. And so the first question says calculate the mean. And that's pretty easy to do. So we're just going to press on and then say alpha 8, and we're going to choose 0 for statistics values. And the second line is x bar, which is 150. And so we can just write x bar, or the average, is equal to 150. You don't actually have to show the steps. If you do the steps, you would add the 8 values together, divided by 8, and that would also give you 150. The second question says calculate the standard deviation. Now, the standard deviation on your calculator is represented by this sigma x. And so you can see it's 50,497, and we round it off to 2 decimal places. So your standard deviation is 50,50 or 50,5. Okay, pretty straightforward. The last question says, at how many stops did the driver spend an amount that was less than 1 standard deviation below the mean? So what they're asking you for is how many stops did he spend less than a certain amount? And the amount is given by our mean, which was 150, minus our standard deviation, which was 50,5, which is 99 Rand 50. Okay, and so how many values are below 99 Rand 50? Not that one. No, 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 yes, 1. So there's only one value that is 1 standard deviation less than the mean. All right. Now, question 2 says, at a certain school, the staff committee wants to determine how many glasses of water the staff members drank during a school day. All the teachers present on a specific day were interviewed, and the information is shown in a table below. So what they're saying is teachers who drank between 0 and 2 glasses of water a day, there were 5 of them. There were 15 who drank between 2 and 4, and 13 who drank between 4 and 6, or 4 and 5 glasses. And this one is 6 and 7 glasses. This is 8 and 9 glasses because it's less than 10. So it doesn't include 10. Okay. So it says, complete the cumulative frequency column provided in the table in the answer book. So I've actually just cut and paste this directly from the answer book, just so that you can see exactly what they mean. So when we do a cumulative frequency, essentially we're adding our frequency, right? Cumulative means to continue adding up. So we're going to say 5, and 5 plus 15 is 20, and 20 plus 13 is 33, and 33 plus 5 is 38, and 38 plus 2 is 40. So can you see the pattern? It's just sort of zigzagging. If that helps you, I know some learners like patterns, and it helps them to remember how to do stuff. So when we zigzag, we create this cumulative frequency table. All right. The next question says, how many staff members were interviewed? And that's really easy. We can get that off the table, and that is 40 teachers were interviewed. How many staff members drank fewer than 6 glasses of water during the school day? Now, we've erased that table, but the question is less than 6 glasses. So if I go and look here, it's less than 6. So it's these top 5 values. So 5 and 15, 20 plus, so it would be 33 teachers drank less than 6 glasses of water during a school day. That seems like a lot of water. The staff committee observed that K teachers were absent on the day of the interviews. It was found that half of these K teachers drank from 0 to fewer than 2. In other words, the category between 0 and 2 glasses of water per day, while the remainder of them drank between 4 and 6. That is that same category between 4 and less than 6 glasses of water per day. When these K teachers are included in the data, the estimated mean is 4 glasses of water per day, per staff member per day. How many teachers were absent on the day of the interview? Now, this feels complicated, but it's actually really not. Okay, so we know how to do an estimated mean for a cumulative graph, right? And the way that we do that is we say, okay, my mean is the midpoint times my number of observations. Okay, so I'm not going to scroll back. I've got it written down here. So we have between 0 and 2 is just 1, right? And we multiply that by the number of teachers we already interviewed plus k, half of k. So in other words, k over 2 teachers. All right. So we've got 5 from the cumulative frequency category, and then our midpoint of this is 3. So there we go. Then the next one, our midpoint is 5, and this we are also told has the rest of the values of k. So it's going to be 5 times the 13 that were originally interviewed plus the k over 2 extra teachers. Okay. And that is all over something. I'm just going to continue on the next line because there's still some more. Then in the category between 6 and 8, that midpoint is 7. And there were 5 teachers who did that. And then in the category between 8 and 10 glasses, the midpoint is 9. And there were 2 teachers who drank that. Okay. And then this is all over the original 40 teachers that were interviewed, plus the extra K teachers that were interviewed at a later stage. Okay, and all of this is equal to an expected mean of 4 glasses per day. So we're told that the mean is 4. And this just becomes now a sum of solving for K. Okay, so let me do this step and then I will erase and just continue again. So here we've got 1 times 5 plus K over 2. So we're just going to have 5 plus K over 2. Plus 5 times 3 is 15, plus 5 times 13 is 65. Don't worry, I did check this on my calculator first. And then 5 times k over 2, so it's just going to be 5k over 2. And then 7 times 5 is 35. And 9 times 2 is 18, all over 40 plus k, which is equal to 4. Okay, so we've simplified, and again, we're just going to do another step of simplifying. I'm just going to erase this. Oopsie daisy, that's not how we erase. This is how we erase. Okay, so from here, the next step is just to multiply out the 40k in the denominator by the 4 on the other side. So we'll have 4 times 40 is 160, and 4 times k is 4k. Okay, and then on the other side, if we add everything together, we get 168 plus the k. So we have half a k plus 5 over 2. So 1 plus 5 is 6 over 2, which is 3k. Now we can see it's simply a simple linear equation that we can solve. So I'm going to bring the 3k this side and 160 this side. So 4k minus 3k is equal to 168 minus 160. Okay, and so 4 minus 3 is 1, so we've just got k, and 168 minus 160 is just 8. So there were 8 teachers missing from the day of the interview. Okay, so not so bad. It's more just about doing the work and doing the steps. And remember, 4 marks gives you at least 4 minutes that you can do this with. And so you have a lot of time in which to answer this question. Okay, so guys, join us for the next question where we're going to look at question 3, which is all about analytical geometry. If you are looking for worksheets, remember to visit maths@sharp.co.za for all of our free grade 8 to 12 maths, math literacy, and technical maths worksheets, as well as study guides that you can download. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and like and subscribe to our channel. Have a super day. Cheers for now.